This is the Midwest Jobbers Association here to discuss with you TNA's year in review. Are you ready? I guess we'll start at the beginning of the year there. What, Samoa Joe won the title at Lockdown?
Which was huge. I mean, the internet blew up with that. Everyone really cared about how they won the pseudo-crappy MMA-style match, which kind of pissed off wrestling fans and mixed martial arts fans at the same time. And Joe finally won the title, like a year too late.
Without a doubt, it was the most lackluster title win I've seen in some time. You know, I mean, and I've lived through countless lackluster title wins.
Yeah,
you have no idea.
We lived through the David Arquette era of title wins.
Eventually, they took it off of him, and who'd they put it back on?
The Icon.
Sting. So Sting wins the belt again, which I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but he's had it. And
he seems to win it every year, the same pay-per-view. It's like that's his pay-per-view.
And it's not necessary.
Yeah, Sting really doesn't need the belt.
Taylor Wilde beat Awesome Kong for the knockout belt. And this was such a shame because I actually started to care about the knockouts. Like, I actually was sucked in back to TNA after the X Division kind of went to, you know...
Yeah, that kind of petered out.
Yeah. After the X Division kind of got watered down, the women's division came up in the ranks, and Gail Kim made you care enough about the title to want to watch. And then they brought in Awesome Kong, Amazing Kong, whatever you want to look at. And I've said my piece on, you know, Amazing Kong before. I support her in Shimmer.
Oh yeah,
and she is
a
absolutely
phenomenal wrestler.
And to put those two together, you had a person you care about with an up-and-comer that was unstoppable, and then give her the belt, and then she ran with it. And it was great. The only problem was they had nobody to take it off of her. They didn't build anyone else up as a credible person to take that belt. So then what do? We go to the random, I'm going to pick a person out of the crowd, and I'm going to fight them. And Chantel Taylor, or Taylor Wilde, or whatever she goes by in TNA, gets the win on Kong. Karen Angle finally left Kurt Angle and in turn left TNA. Probably the best looking knockout they had, and then gone in a puff of smoke. I understand why.
You know, it makes sense. If you're going through a divorce with like a top star, and then all of a sudden you finally finalize the divorce, even though you're only with the company to try to reconcile things with your husband, and when all of a sudden everything falls apart, it kind of makes sense. Do you want to see your ex-husband part of your steady job, or would you rather just be like, you know what? I'm done with this. People know who I am. I made a couple quick bucks. I don't need to do this anymore ever again. I can just sit at home and look hot.
We got a new title this year in TNA. We got the Legends title. I don't understand the purpose of this title.
Well, we also know what the qualifications are of the title yet. You know, with the X Division belt, literally it was anybody. So it was kind of like an IC title. Tag belt makes sense. It's a two-person belt. World Heavyweight, you're the top guy. Legends belt. Do you have to have had like a 5-10 year career? Do you have had to make a name for yourself in another company? How do you define the Legends title? Maybe we'll find out. Maybe they'll do like a reverse battle royal, and the winner of that battle royal will decide what the qualifications are for that. Maybe, I don't know.
Jeff Jarrett, after taking some time off, returned to the ring, and it was to fight Kurt Angle and win. So after they book Kurt Angle to the point where he can't lose, and they make him nuts, you know, and crazed about winning the world title and everything else. Jeff Jarrett comes out of retirement long enough to beat him.
With the help of Mick Foley. We have to at least throw that in there too, that Mick Foley did interject himself in the match to help Jeff Jarrett win. And having gone with that, you know, Mick Foley joined TNA as the chairman,
executive, co-producer,
manager, general
He owns stock in TNA. You know, and so now he gets to be on TV and give people sacco and...
You know, and try to build up matches and build up young talent and, you know, stuff.
Yep. And then, you know, we had Christian Cage leave TNA. He was the first major acquisition that TNA really had. And, you know, they pushed him to the moon. He was champion straight out the gate, you know. Christian Cage was on everyone's mind in 2005, 2006, you know, into 2007 until they got Kurt Angle. Christian Cage was your boy in TNA, and they let him go.
And then they kind of went, oh, we have a newer one. You know, Christian, you really worked your ass off to get where you are at this point. And like everyone else in TNA who's really put their time into it, the new shiny toy showed up. Sorry, Woody, you've been Buzz Lightyeared.
Yeah.
How do you do the weird hand thing? Is it like...
It's like M-E-M, the main event mafia.
What happened to easy like ones? You know, like 3D and LAX. I don't see where the X is at.
Four Horsemen.
You know, you've got easy one-hand gestures, you know. There are lots of really great ones. Why do you go with some weird, like, you're signing, help me, I've been shot, there's a mongoose in my car? It makes sense with, like, Sting, Angle, and Booker. Booker's had more title runs than some leagues have had. He's got more titles than Flair, because if you look at tag team runs, yeah, he was all over that. He was like a 17-time tag champ.
Mm-hmm. In WCW alone.
Yeah,
beyond. I mean, he had another 7 or 8, I think, in WWE.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he deserves legend status, hence the legend title, per chance. Who knows?
Makes sense.
So you know, the main event mafia. Yeah, you take established stars essentially from other companies, and they're too good. Okay, sure, makes sense. And then you have the front line, which I guess is all of the TNA originals. They decided to not use that term to not be confused with the new breed ECW originals thing. No, you know, no problem. But why is the leader of the front line Rhino? You've got Joe in the front line. You would think if you want to really make it a TNA stable, you would take the more people who are known primarily with TNA. Yeah, I know Joe's in Ring of Honor, some Ring of Honor. You know AJ Styles from TNA. Those should be your 2 main guys. You don't have Team ECW be like the main front people in the front line. You take your actual talent and you build them up against the invading talent.
Storyline-wise, there's not too much farther they can go with this, because you have all of your main event, except for Kurt Angle, who's in a separate main event, all wrapped up in this gang warfare. And it's not flying because you still have TNA originals feuding with themselves.